Hi friends, good morning. How are you doing? It is so nice to be out here this morning. This is the first time I've really been able to be back out in the garden since I had this last round of COVID. Thank you for hanging around on the channel if you have just subscribed. Normally we do 2 videos a week, but that obviously didn't happen. I was able to get like 2 videos filmed, so I was able to keep at least 1 a week, which was good because I really was sick. But today we have some backed up projects that we need to get taken care of here in the garden. Let me go on ahead and turn you around real quick and I will show you what all needs to be done that really should have been done over the top of me being sick, but life is what it is. So let me turn you around. All right, as you can see, our tomato plants and of course pepper plants and basil plants have all died out. So we need to come in here and we definitely need to get all of this out. We've got rotting tomatoes down here and I need to get out here and water a little bit today too. We have this mum here. It was doing all right, probably just lack of me being able to get out here and water has contributed to this situation. But I'm going to go on ahead and deadhead the whole thing. It should pop back and rebloom again after I do that. We've also got this bed to clear out. Now there were some beets and turnips and things in this bed and in that bed right there. Me not being out here and being able to guard everything basically meant that whatever critter came through and ate them had a really good breakfast at the time. So we lost all of those seedlings that we put in that video about a month ago. Yeah. So none of this is necessarily ideal. However, it is what it is. And then of course I have green stalks out here that I need to get cleared out, and I need to get some seed put in behind them so that we can have some kale, some perpetual spinach, possibly even some bok choy and things like that. But I'm going to go on ahead. I'm going to put you guys on hyperlapse. There's probably not going to be a whole lot of talking in this video, just FYI. I'm still a little wheezy at present. But I'll put you on hyperlapse, show you everything that I'm going to do, and if I have any pertinent points I will pop on here and talk to you about them. So we're talking good old-fashioned garden vlog today. Alright, so let's go on ahead and get started on our projects. All right. So I did say that I would come back on here if I had pertinent information, and I do. Let me turn you around, show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so this bed, just for reference, was a combination of tomatoes and basil and peppers. What we had down here was all of the basil. This is a dead basil plant. Okay, still rather beautiful. Now, for those of you who live in temperate climates, it is possible to have a basil plant come back the following spring and summer months. For the most part, in the really cold zones, guys, so like 6 and below, it's not likely to happen. I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it's not likely. And when I was over in this section here clearing out the tomatoes, and then I moved down and I was pulling out, or starting to pull out, the basil, this is what I found. So I had a very large one I pulled out here. That was probably a mistake. I should have probably left it and cut it. But this guy here was twined with a very large Genovese plant. I don't know how I ended up with the Genovese down here where the black crim were, but somehow that happened. But you can kind of see what I did with this guy is I just went on ahead and I cut back the trunk. Now, there is a little bit of green. There's not a lot of green in there, but there's a little bit of green. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to leave the root system and this stump in ground over the winter. We have plans to amend all of the beds. I don't think I'm going to get to that today. I had wanted to get to that, but I don't think I'm going to get to that just based on my current energy level. So what will happen is the stump will end up being covered up. So I'll need to make a notation in my garden journal that I still have a basil plant down here, and I'm going to leave it in here because, number one, best case scenario, I'm going to have a Genovese plant come back next spring, next summer, and give me even hardier basil than what this plant was. And this was a very healthy, hardy plant, very huge. I wish I had been feeling better to be able to come out and fully harvest all of it before the frost hit, but that didn't happen. So fingers crossed it'll come back. Worst case scenario, it dies. I have to seed start some Genovese again, but the roots and the little stump here will break down and just end up being brown matter for the bed, which won't harm anything at all. Now, there are some plants that you can't do that with because they actually release a type of toxin in their root structures. So leaving them isn't necessarily wise. In the case of a Genovese heirloom basil, it's not going to be a problem. So if you leave it over winter, don't freak out. Oh, hello, little radish friends. I will have to add you to my dinner. It's amazing what you can find growing even when you haven't done anything, for all intents and purposes. Mom and I were actually having a discussion the other day about the garden and the fact that we hadn't been out here, and I had told her, I said, you know, honestly, you can't have it. With everything that's fallen in here that I have not been able to come out and remove, we are going to have so many volunteers next spring, I may not even necessarily have to seed start. Definitely may not have to seed start tomatoes. Probably not even tomatillos or peppers. Who knows? So, all right, well, of course, as usual, I didn't get quite as far as I had hoped. I was hoping that I could get some of our mushroom mycelium and worm castings mixed into the beds after I had removed things out, but that's okay. That will be a project for another day. We got all of the rotting tomatoes and plants out, and I'm happy with that. That's progress. We now have space where we can go on ahead and amend the beds and start adding in maybe some cold hardy vegetables. And I mean, even if they don't necessarily come to fruition right now or even in the next couple of months, just sowing them in here means that we will have early crops in the spring. So like April, we could be seeing turnips and beets in here if they don't grow, or if we get a really, really big cold snap in the next month. But I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to sign off here. I need to get in and get some food into our bellies. So guys, as always, keep it simple, natural, and essential, and I will see you on the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you on the next one.